How Pluto Laid the Smackdown on Me by Astro. Hey y'all, this is Astro here, talking to you about Pluto going direct and laying the smackdown on all of us. Literally had me like crying during this time because Pluto is conjunct my sun, so my natal sun. So yeah, it's difficult. Very difficult. Okay? I'm struggling in these streets. I'm actually cool now, but the 30th was a tough day. I've let go of a lot of shit. I had a lot of self-realizations, and with me having sun on Pluto right now, my natal sun on transit Pluto, I can say and tell you a lot about this. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about what Pluto means. Pluto stands for transformation, death, and rebirth, right? In all different types of ways. That's multiple layers, mad layers, But it also represents intimacy, emotionally bonding to others, but more so than anything, intimacy. And with intimacy, that has a whole bunch of layers within itself, right? Because there's sexual intimacy, there's financial intimacy, kind of knowing other people's monies, because people I don't know how much my neighbors make and how much is their account right now. That's intimate information, right? There's spiritual intimacy, psychic readings, really getting to know someone's spirit and their information. There's astrological intimacy, me reading people's charts. That's intimate information that I have. There's many layers of intimacy, but that's what Pluto represents, intimacy, and you transforming from letting some other person taking that intimacy and giving you more information so you can transform and become a better person. Two people coming into one to transform into something better. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? That's what all that Pluto, Scorpio, 8th house energy is all about. All right. So, with it being in Capricorn, we're transforming to kind of get a heads up on authority. We're transforming and getting intimate information to really, better ourselves, transform ourselves into this better being, to this stronger being, so we can get this status, this reputation, this authority that we feel like we deserve, right? And so that's what this is all about. So this is why people's careers are being shaken up. This is why people's statuses and reputations are being shaken up. You see it online, you see it in personal life, all over, right? It's really shaking us up. But what it's really getting at, because of the decade of where Pluto is at, is really shaking up our self-worth, okay? Pluto is in the second decade of Capricorn, which is ruled by Venus. So it's really getting at our self-worth. Or do we feel that we're worthy of this authority, of this status, of this reputation? We have to transform this sense of self-worth so we can get that career status, reputation that we deserve, this authority that we feel like we deserve. And so during that time for me, I really, personally really started to value and understand what my self-worth is and what my issues what my issues are with my self-worth. You get what I'm saying? And it really opened my eyes, and so it made me kind of detach a little bit to certain things, to see things how they are. Believe it or not, even if it's someone that you're supposed to be really, really close with, you can be too emotionally attached to those things. You could be too emotionally attached to a spouse, too emotionally attached to family members, too emotionally attached to friends. Yeah, you're supposed to have this emotional attachment to them, but it can be too much. And, I really came to that realization and how that emotional attachment is lowering my self-worth and is causing me to lose sort of my identity, lose my sense of self-expression and creativity, believe it or not. So that's how it affected me being a Capricorn sun, and this is conjunct to my Capricorn sun. But no matter where it's conjuncting, right, this transforming your self-worth can be affecting any part of you, this this Pluto is conjuncted in your chart, right? So it gets deep. If you really want more information on that, on how this Pluto direct kind of is transforming you and your self-worth, holla at me, etsy.com/shop/astrodim. Get a 1-question reading, and I'll tell you exactly how it is affecting you, okay? Anywho, let's dig a little deeper with this, y'all. Let's see what aspects are popping and how this Pluto direct is really affecting us, right? Now, before I talk about Pluto going direct, let's talk about the time it was retrograde. And retrograde, it was all the way, I believe, at like 20 or 21 degrees cap, and then it went back all the way to 18, right? And so it went from one decan to another. And so, it went from the decant of Mercury in Capricorn, us kind of learning the details on how we can get this authority, this sense of status and reputation and career that we wanted. But during this time, it was like, your self-worth still fucked up. We got to back it up. And so we backed it up into this 18th degree of Capricorn, so we can really work on that self-worth a little bit more. We needed to reflect a little bit more, like, are the details that we're working on really connecting to the authority that we want? Do we have enough self-worth to believe in ourselves? It's backing up. You know what I mean? Because when planets are retrograde, we need to reflect. We need to be introspective. This is internal information that we need to scan through and figure out if this is right for us. And we cannot take action. We cannot be empowered, which Pluto represents. We can't be empowered unless we reflect on what this empowerment means to us, right? And what we need to do to be empowered. What else more we need to do. And so, while reflecting, we was really thinking about ways on how to better not only our detailed plan on how to, get to this authority, get to this status, this reputation, but also kind of reflect more on our self-worth and how it's affecting our material worth, and how the material worth is also affecting our status, reputation, and career, and how we can get more of that. But it's mostly self-worth, right? So, that's what was happening when it was retrograding. Us reflecting on us being empowered, us be transforming our status and reputation, right? And like kind of just thinking about that, reflecting on that. But now it's direct. Now we can move forward on being empowered through, us gaining our empowerment in our status and reputation, and us transforming ourselves so we can get that status and reputation, and us realizing that we need, we reflected on what we needed to reflect on and strengthen our self-worth. Now we need to apply it, bring it into life, manifest it in the physical, not be so internal. We worked on it internally, and now we have to literally start manifesting it and doing it, right? And so remember how I said that, I was too emotionally attached and it was messing with my self-worth and my creativity. Now, what Pluto going direct, I literally was like, immediately, it took tears and sadness for it. Try to emotionally detach myself, not be so attached. I'm not like completely unattached to these people that I love, but I'm loosening some of the attachments. I'm cutting it off, just so I can be, myself, just so I can express myself. I be my own identity, really discover my talents and going with it and being empowered by it and transforming through it and getting that status and reputation that I want and money that I want from it. You get what I'm saying? So it's really dope, really deep, interesting energies. But let's talk about some of these aspects that's happening over here. Yeah, let's talk about some of the aspects that are happening so we can get a little bit more detailed on that. All right. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll talk about like how this will be affecting you depending on what house it is in. Okay. All right, so the first aspect I see is that this Pluto is actually sextile Neptune retrograde, right? And so with that aspect, right, as I always say all the time, Neptune retrograde is all about us getting this disillusion, situations, images, ideas, whatever, right? And using this time to really fill out what's real through using our true, pure intuition, like pure intuition, to kind of weed through the disillusionment to get to the truth, right? This is helping us practice our intuition a little bit more so we can be stronger at being intuitive, right? And so with this energy sextiling Pluto direct now, us strengthening our intuition is actually helping us greatly when it comes to our own empowerment. Yes, it is great to be practical in gaining this empowerment. But the thing is that, you have to move off of intuition sometimes. Sometimes you don't have the facts in front of you. Sometimes you don't know what's the most practical thing if you only have just one idea, just one piece of evidence, just one object. You have to kind of use some intuition to kind of guide your way. You get what I'm saying? So it's showing that connection that, yes, we're talking about the practical things with Pluto being in Capricorn and us being emotionally empowered by using practicality to get to the status that we need to get to, right? But, again, we're being emotionally empowered. Emotions connected to intuition. So we need to navigate our emotions through our intuition to get this to be empowered. You get what I'm saying? Excuse all the noise in the background, y'all. So what's interesting is like Neptune can definitely get us into a status and a spiritual level. With Pluto being in Capricorn, it could get us into empower us to get to a status on the practical level. But the thing is, what's important is we need to actually focus on both, getting into the proper status, the proper reputation, or getting the proper representation in the spiritual realm and in the earthly realm. And we're letting this energy flow. We're learning from each other and letting this energy flow. You get what I'm saying? So that's how I see that aspect there. The next aspect I see is Pluto is in conjunct the moon, and so that's real. A lot of people were struggling during this Pluto direct because of this in conjunct energy. We were, with Gemini and Capricorn, they just don't get each other, honestly. When it comes to our emotions, right? We're thinking more in a logical sense, right? Which is great. But the thing is, though, we are kind of feeling. We're going through we're feeling our thoughts, or going through our thoughts in a more logical way, and we're using the experiences we had when we're communicating from one person to another person to another person, right? We're using those experiences and kind of using those people's experiences, comparing it to our personal experiences to weed out and understand our emotions a little bit more, right? But, this is Gemini energy, so it's mutable. So we're like literally just like scanning through different scenarios. And when we talk to different people, taking bits and bits of information, mixing it with ours to kind of understand our emotions a little bit more and a little bit deeper. The thing is, though, with Pluto direct in Capricorn, we kind of have this set plan and we have to just go with it. Just jumping from one idea to another idea to another idea. Pluto's not really understanding that at the moment. They're saying like, listen, we just need to get whatever we have and go. Like, we've learned enough. We don't need to scan through all these conversations and experiences to understand our emotions. We need to just go. We need to, empower ourselves, rev ourselves up and go. So, again, these energies are not really getting each other. Moon wants us to kind of, again, just think logically about our emotions and kind of scan through our experiences by logically and using those experiences to logically get what we feel. Pluto is on yeah, that's good and all, but we need to get this to the specific status that we want. When we have a game plan, we need to go with it. We need to stop doing the little research and just go with the plan. You get what I'm saying? So, this caused some confusion and caused some sadness, believe it or not, and some heartbreak. What really caused heartbreak too was this square Mercury that Pluto was doing. So our thoughts were more connected with, again, this logical sense of being, this logical sense of thinking, of communicating on a one-on-one level. Us communicating to people on a one-on-one level was confusing us. We tried to communicate with people and they just weren't getting it. And people kept feeling like you were trying to disempower them while talking to them. You may have experienced a lot of people cutting each other off, you cutting people off, they cutting you off, and communications were not clear at all. And it made you have some self-realization on your empowerment, on your self-worth. And it disenchanted you on a lot of, relationships that you have in your life, probably. You know what I mean? Because again, we're talking about Mercury and Libra, so it definitely disenchanted you and disempowered you on certain relationships that you do have, and probably made you feel like, okay, then they either don't respect me or feel, and I'm allowing it because, I'm not exerting my self-worth. I'm not cherishing my self-worth. I'm not building up my self-worth. As if I did, they would know not to speak to me in a certain way. And so you're really starting to reflect on that, because remember this, Pluto's in the second decan of Capricorn, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus represents self-worth. You know what I mean? It's all connected here. So because of us not having this sense of self-worth, it's really causing us to not get that status and reputation that we feel like we deserve. It is just that in itself altogether is disempowering us. And with these communications are just literally our mirrors. It's reflecting how we're feeling at the moment. And it's just, that's the thing that's really driving us nuts, honestly. Lastly, and that's the funny thing too, is that it was around 8:00 where I just lost it. It was 8:00 my time. And that's when Pluto, I think around the time Pluto went direct, I just fucking lost it. I really did. I absolutely lost it. I had to be away from people. Pluto being on my sun, man, it really, y'all don't understand. And so I wonder if that's around the time Pluto went direct. I wonder if that was around the time y'all lost it too. Okay. Lastly, Pluto direct actually sextiles Jupiter. So it made us think of different philosophies and different beliefs connected to intimacy, and how we are too close to certain people, how we need to be a little less disenchanted, a little less intimate with certain folks, and kind of realizing that certain people deserve your intimacy, certain people don't. You know what I mean? And there are different philosophies out there, and even philosophies that you thought of, that kind of reminded you of that and helped you with that and strengthened your thoughts with that. And so a lot of Pluto being honestly direct literally caused us to not be so attached, which is funny because Pluto's all about intimacy and kind of being able to understand the true sense of shared worth. Yes, shared worth is two people coming into one, but you still have the essence of yourself. You're not just this one person for real. It's like the yin and the yang. Yes, yin and yang is one circle, but there's an obvious yin which is black, and an obvious yang that is white. They're still themselves, but together they're a new thing. And that's the thing about shared worth, is that you can still be you and have shared worth, and the other person can still be them and be together with you and attached with you, and it still be shared worth. And that's the big main lesson here with Pluto going direct. How's the thing we were supposed to reflect on and think about it while Pluto was retrograde. And when planets go direct, especially when it goes direct in a personal planet or personal luminary, it just smacks you with that reality. It makes you go through that experience right in your face, and you're just like, whoa, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? When it's not really close to any of your personal planets, then it's a little bit, a little bit different, but you still feel something. But yeah, that's how I feel. So let's go through the houses real quick. I'm just going to make this quick, okay? If Pluto's in your first house, you're learning to transform your body, your personality, your appearance, your persona. You're learning to be empowered by these things as well. If this in your second house, you're learning to transform your self-worth, your material worth. Transform these things and be empowered through these things, right? Empowering these things. If it's in the third house, you're learning to transform and be empowered by your communication, your community, and your siblings, and your thoughts, your thought process as well, your intelligence. If it's Pluto is in your fourth house, you're learning to, transform and be empowered by your home, your family, your deep emotions, your private moments, and your did I say family already? Yeah, your family, your home and your house, where you live and stuff like that. If Pluto is in your fifth house, you're transforming and being empowered by your creative thoughts, your self-expression, your talents, you having fun, you enjoying yourself, your romance even, right? If Pluto's in your sixth house, you're transforming and being empowered by your routines. That's what you're learning to do. You're learning to be empowered by your routines, your daily tasks, you being organized and having your shit together, your everyday tasks, right? If Pluto's in your seventh house, you're transforming and being empowered by the relationships that you have, but specifically the one-on-one relationships. If it's in your eighth, you're being transformed and empowered by your intimate relationships, intimacy, your bonding, your shared worth. If your Pluto was in the ninth house, you're being transformed and empowered by different philosophies, beliefs, religions. You traveling to different countries and learning about them. If it's in your 10th, you're being you're transforming and empowered by your career, your reputation, your status. That's what you're learning to do. Learning to do these things for all of the houses that I just said to. If Pluto was in your 11th house, you're transforming and being empowered by your circle, your friends, your family, your non-immediate family, your acquaintances, your co-workers, society at large, right? The universal consciousness, how people perceive your talents, your creativity, your self-expression. And lastly, if Pluto was in your 12th, you're being empowered by and transforming your thoughts on spirituality, your self-sabotaging ways, your self-undoing, the thing that's holding you back, that's keeping you institutionalized. You're breaking out of that. That's what you're transforming, and that's what you're being empowered by. It was in my 12th house, and man, I felt that deep. Okay, I felt that shit so deep. Okay, that's what you're learning to do and breaking out of, and realizing that your self-worth is it, or the lack thereof, is literally something that you were needing to reflect on during the retrograde, and now what you need to do is build that self-worth to be empowered to get that authority, reputation, and status and career that you want. Okay? And not really so much career, but that reputation and status through whatever house that I talked about. You know what I mean? So if it's in your third, then, getting that, using your self-worth to be empowered to get that status that you want through your communication by communicating. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean? But anyways, interested in reading, holla at me. I'll get more specific within your chat or whatever. But you pretty much can figure it out through what I said. But if you want me to really break it down for you, I can. Yes, I can. Because, we have to include your planets and where they're at and stuff, right? And how it's affecting you. Especially if you have Pluto either conjuncting, squaring, trining, inconjuncting, opposite any of your personal planets, you definitely need to holler at me. Okay. Anywho, that's what I have for Pluto direct, babies. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'll be happy to help. Okay. Much love, y'all. Peace.